Hi, thank you very much for being with me on another making of postcards. This week we are talking about the song by Maria Grieber called Despedida. I have left some notes on the postcard, which I hope you had the chance of taking a look at them, reading what I shared with you back then. And I would like also to take the time in this postcard to share with you a much further comprehensive explanation of the thoughts I left there because some of the notes that I left there have to do with me considering this song by Maria River as an exception, or not as an exception, but maybe very particular in the way it was composed. Somehow it feels different to other compositions by Maria Grieber in the sense that what I have shared with you is that Maria Grieber is usually a very fine and intimate composer that likes to write the music in accordance to the natural way of speaking of Mexican people. Then all the emotions, whenever she writes many syllables or to give the impression of an acelerando or singing faster, or when she is keeping notes for longer, and whenever she enters a pause, there is always a purpose in the emotion, and also related to the way Mexicans usually speak or usually do things. So that's how we can, in general terms, understand Maria Grieber's composing music. However, this song, Despedida, that has been part of many concerts and recitals by lyric singers, that lyric singer is usually understood as an opera singer. Usually, sopranos and tenors are the ones who like to sing it more, and have made some changes in the writing of the music that I particularly do not really like, and that is something that I am going to share with you. But to insist and to recall, and what is it, this style of type of writing her music that we are used to when we listen to Maria Grieber's compositions. Let's recall, for instance, the beautiful song Volveré. If you recall that, I had shared with you back then that the way the pauses, the long notes, bring to our memory or give the sensation that we are actually listening to the waves in the ocean, the waves in the sea that are reaching or that are hitting the beach. And that's what the words are saying. I will be back just as the waves are reaching back the sea. And the expression, very calm and intimate expression, way of writing, is something like Volveré como vuelven. If you recall those notes, then you recall how it that song goes la 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 la. That is very typical of Maria Grieber. I had also shared some other in some other postcards previous to this one the song Muñequita Linda, that if you recall it had been written for her uh, little daughter who died at a very early age. Also, one can understand why this is an intimate song, which is very often misunderstood by singers and exaggerated in duration and in the high notes, but that in fact needs to be sung very calm. When she says, Muñequita linda, de cabellos de oro, de dientes de perlas, labios de rubí. You see, and those are two examples of how Maria Grieber actually writes her songs. That's what we can find in hers. Of course, the number of compositions of hers is very wide. There are some others that are less, let's say, less count than these ones, but I think these two are very good examples. And we are sharing these two examples or bringing back these two songs because we are actually comparing them to the song Despedida. Despedida, I was sharing, is a song that tenors and sopranos like to bring to their concerts, basically because it is written in a way that you can, and let me use this expression that I am pretty sure that people who like opera and the singing of tenors and sopranos will certainly disagree, but I think that all those changes are too exaggerated. Are that is way too much. And fortunately or unfortunately, you will find that actually the postcard that I shared this week is one of those exaggerations that singers usually do. And for that purpose, let me put on the screen the the accompaniment that I used. Yeah, I am leaving it also on the screen because maybe you are interested in taking a look at it at yourself. Of course, everything is in Spanish, so if you don't do well with the language, maybe you will find it hard to follow. But it is the interesting part of this is that Hector Salcedo, the owner of this channel, shares many compositions and putting on the screen how he's following on the keyboard the score. So this is a very interesting material because if you can read music and also you like piano, you can follow both and start doing your own rehearsals or interpretations, renditions of the songs. And the reason why also I am putting it on the screen is because while I was looking for the music, I found this one and I noticed that that he called it the versión lírica for opera singers, with the changes in the final part of the song, which I will call exaggerations, because there is already too much happening in this song, and opera singers are still adding too much in a way that in one way that it doesn't feel like Maria Grieber, and on the other it goes to extreme to making it almost, from my perspective, I insist, I am sure that at this point many people will strongly disagree with my point of view, make it unrecognizable as a Maria Grieber composition. You can follow the whole accompaniment and the score with the changes in here, and also if you happen to have to listen to the actual postcard that I posted this week, you will realize that in fact it follows very much this one. And I would also like to insist that I really didn't like the way it is this version. I sorry for insisting it for several times already. I think it is too much, too many high notes, sustaining them for too long, adding things that were not written by Maria. And I think that this is one of the things that singers should stop doing, only for the purpose, only for the sake of showing off your voice. And maybe you are thinking, if you agree that much, why did you do it that way? In one hand, because I saw it as an interesting challenge, but on the other, because I wanted to post or to share with you a postcard where we can actually take a look at what, from my perspective, shouldn't be done with Mexican music. So, too much talk so far, and this week we are not sharing a special version of any singer, but I want to tell you that I recall having heard it from a very early age. I was very young when I heard it the very first time at the Museo Universitario del Chopo a Sunday morning. And what I really would like to share with you now at this point is that what I recall is exactly listening to the soprano adding all those notes that hadn't been that weren't part of the score, but I remember that she did it in a very nice way. I knew notes had been added, but she did it with a very good taste, so they sound better, opposed to this week's postcard that the end, from my perspective, has very poor musical taste. But I have to admit that's what singers that like to do. So, and that's for the explanation of why we are not sharing any particular version this week. And let's take a look at the actual song. So, Despedida is basically a farewell, the moment when two people who love each other say goodbye, and that's what is being shared. So after these introductory notes, it starts in piano, like very Maria Grieber, saying, Una triste sonrisa tu labio dibujó, una indiscreta lágrima de mis ojos cayó. The translation of that first couple of phrases is that with a very sad smile, or a very sad smile, was in your lips or your mouth, did that or showed that very sad smile. I think that if you can picture that in your mind, you have in front of you a person you love, and you see a smile of sadness. So that's what you see in him or in her. That smile with sadness and a tear falling from your own eyes. So if you picture the scene, you have in one side it is you with tears falling from your eyes, and the other side you have this person you love who has a very sad smile. That way of writing, that way of describing a scene is very Maria Grieber's style. Una triste sonrisa tu labio dibujó, una indiscreta lágrima de mis ojos cayó. She continues describing the scene, but by saying, now your hand is within my hands. The two of them are entwined, they are together, holding each other, hands, while one is crying and the other has a very sad smile. Because it says that with those two hands close together, are trying to stop this moment where they will separate. But in fact, it does not stop anything, because without even saying goodbye, we actually said goodbye. I think you can also picture that. Holding your hands, like trying to stop that goodbye, that farewell, but you say goodbye without actually saying it. You just separate and each one takes his own way. So, tu mano entre la mía, enlazadas las dos, de tener pretendía nuestra separación, y sin decirnos nada nos dijimos adiós. In this part, as you may have already realized, it is, and this is why this composition by Maria Grieber is very particular, because recall all those songs. Let's recall Volveré como vuelven, those very calm melodies that Maria Grieber likes to create. But here we have a very intense drama. And it is a very intense drama, not only by the music the piano is playing, but also the voice is going with a much higher volume, much higher notes, and the drama feels de tener pretendía nuestra separación, y sin decirnos nada nos dijimos adiós. And it goes very unnatural in the way of writing by Maria Grieber. Look at how we're coming. Nuestra separación, y sin decirnos nada. Still, just a small pause to take a breath. Nos dijimos adiós, hoy en mi cruel soledad I'm going to stop it there, just sharing with you the translation of this, because we said goodbye without saying goodbye, and now in my cruel solitude, this fatal and cruel solitude, your image or comes to my mind, the memory of you in this so sensual, and I am dying because I am in such a delirium to see you again, and I am so scared, I am so afraid of losing you. Siento temor de perderte. Vuelve otra vez a mi lado. So if you notice, if you have already realized, this is like too much voice, too much notes, too much sound for a Maria Grieber that usually writes in a very calm, very quiet, very intimate, who hardly ever has a high note, and if there is only one or two, and goes back to that intimate sensation and notes. That's why I was telling or sharing with you that this is a very particular way of writing by Maria Grieber, which is not what we are used to listen to. And I also would like to clarify what I shared with you in the description of the postcard, and for that purpose we are going to listen to a very interesting version, which by the way I cannot read now, and I was wondering why. I am looking for it already, because I was telling you that I find that this looks a lot like a song that one could find in Manon Lescaut. For those of you who are familiar with Puccini's Manon Lescaut, you know that this is the story about actually Manon Lescaut, her. And I was telling you that it reminds me all this thing that I just intonated in this song. I find it very similar to how this sounds in Manon Lescaut. Now I find that Manon Lescaut final aria by Manon Lescaut herself singing it, sola, perduta, abbandonata, sounds in a phrase in this part like this song by Maria Grieber. And I would like to clarify that I am not saying that Maria Grieber is writing music as Puccini's or in the Puccini's style, or that she is copying the melody or anything like that. What I would like to share with you is that this intense rhythm, intensity, length of notes reminds me a lot of the Verismo, and in particular to how it sounds in the sense of how this was written for this aria in Manon Lescaut. That's what I am trying to share. And why is that? Because I am going to put it on the screen as this is refusing to come up in the file that I am trying to open, because I see it, but for some reason I cannot open it. It goes there. You see, it also starts very calm, and it says sola, perduta, abbandonata. Also very calm as in Despedida, still setting up the scene. In lado desolata. Horror. By the way, we are listening to the version of Renata Tebaldi, of course, one of the greatest sopranos who has ever lived, and whose voice matches this role to perfection. So I was also wondering if maybe Maria Grieber liked Puccini's writing, and somehow like the way she developed in particular this aria. Of course, you can also at this point think that it is just an hallucination of mine. I would like to insist again that I don't mean that she copied the actual structure or the musical writing of this aria, but that in the sense that this is not the Maria Grieber who is writing very intimate and calm, but now is writing in a very dramatic way with long, high sustained notes. Now it brings me back to the way this was written. And we are about to reach, in particular, the passage that I say that looks so similar to Despedida, or at least those two parts I find similar. Again, I like to insist in the duration, the intensity, and the high notes and the drama of it. And it is exactly right after this, right after saying tutto è dunque finito, which in Spanish means everything is over, everything is finished. Maybe I am also making this correlation because somehow the two areas are farewells. One is Sola perduta abbandonata, as many people you know, she's about to die in a very tragic story. Her lover has just left, not left her, but left to look for help. And right after this is where I was telling you that the two pieces, from my perspective, resemble in intensity, length, and drama. And it goes like, "Ah, mia beltà funesta, ire novelli accende, strappar da noi mi si volea, or tutto il mio passato orribile risorge, e vivo in ansia al guarda mio si possa." Right after that, not any longer, because of course we don't have this note in Despedida, but this is exactly what I wanted to exemplify to you when it says "Or tutto il mio passato orribili risorgi e vivo in ansia al guarda mio si possa." It reminds me, let's go back to that part. Siento temor de perderte, vuelve otra vez a mi lado, no te alejes de mí, di que no has olvidado el amor que te di. It is very particular in the way this has been written, because I was also sharing with you that in fact you will realize in the actual postcard that the notes or the repetition is taken back all again. The music has gone higher, so it is much more volume. It's più forte. The volume of the music, the voice accordingly, is much higher in volume also. And now it does not sound like a Mexican song by Maria Grieber, from my perspective, and forgive me for the very last time. It sounds like an opera aria. I think this is the way Mexican singers or opera singers go way too far when a song like this that has we have to admit the writing of this is much more stronger and dramatic by Maria Grieber, but it doesn't sound like an opera aria. But what happens in the actual postcard is that, in particular, that final part, it really does, because vuelve otra vez a mi lado, no te alejes de mí, and adding another note, el amor que, like if you were listening to, I don't know, you choose the area where you know that singers like to put the corona at the final word, el amor que te di, when it doesn't go like that, el amor que te di. So I wanted to bring this song again. I'd like to insist because it is a very particular writing by Maria Grieber, and also to share how singers can actually exaggerate and do way too much for a very, very nice song. Thank you very much for having joined me this time, and I hope to see you some other time soon.